Last night I jumped on a live stream and I had a conversation. And one of the things that I was saying was until they update the family court laws and until they change, that's my number one issue. My number one issue, if I ever have an opportunity to sit in front of a presidential candidate or somebody that's running for, any legislative branch with significant pull and power to influence what it is that we're doing in our policies and the ways in which we're going about doing things in this country, that is my number one thing that I would ask them is how can we influence what happens as far as updating family court laws so that we make it more conducive for men and for families, because I think that that's the number one way in which you solve for a lot of these problems, single parent households, building wealth within your communities, not breaking up households, so on and so forth, right? But somebody reached out to me afterwards, and then I jumped on the phone with them this morning because they asked me a question about something that I said that could be taken as misogynistic or chauvinistic, or it's not partnership worthy, or it's not 50-50. And I want to give you a little bit more context. So for those of you that missed the show last night, during one segment towards the end, I kind of went off on one of my rants, right? And I said something, and I said her money is my money. And so, because Freezy asked me, and shout out to my dog Freezy. Freezy said, he was giving me his perspective about women and when they make money and all of this other type of stuff. And what if they work and then they start to feel a little bit more masculine and they feel like they got more say-so in the household? And I said, women have always worked. Why is that changing the dynamic of how it is that she's supposed to operate inside of her household? And let's address it, because it's the Millionaire Morning Show, and whether we're talking about relationships, politics, business, whatever, it always comes back down to the money, right? And we're going to get into it. We're going to get into Boyce Watkins. We're going to get into the Detroit Police Commissioner that got arrested for getting a prostitute. Yeah, we're going to bring you to the front of the congregation, big dog. Detroit, it's your turn. We're going to get into Stephen A. Smith. We're going to get into a recently naturalized U.S. citizen that is now making $420,000 a year. We're going to break down how he did it. We're going to get to all of that, right? But let's talk about these relationships, because for some reason, y'all are under the impression that because you go to work and you make money, that that's somehow your responsibility, or somehow makes you a part of the discussion of how it is that I spend it. Let me say it one more time for the people in the back. Somehow, it's your business as to what it is that I do with the money. It's not. And when your grandfather used to go to work back in yesteryear, and he used to bring the check home to grandmama, and then grandmama went and spent all of the money and paid the bills, but just because she was fiscally responsible with regard to making sure that the bills was paid didn't mean that she knew what she was doing when it came to managing and understanding how money worked, right? And so the way that it happens, and I'll just break it down from my perspective of how it happens in my household. The way that it plays out in my household is from the very beginning, whether Rita worked or whether she didn't work. When she got a big check, and she has gotten big checks, and I'm talking about checks all the way up to $50,000. What she did was, the first thing that she did every single time was she brought me the check. Here, I'll show you the money order. This is a money order that I haven't filled out yet. It's a bunch of them. It's like 6 of them. She brought me the check, right? And she said, here you go, daddy. Do with it what you will. Shout out to O'Neal Harris. I'm going to read that super chat in a minute. She said, do with it what you will. She never tried to figure out what was going on with the money. She never was trying to figure out how to count the pockets. She never was trying to figure out where is her cut. She's never asked me that question, not one time. Not when we was getting money in the early days, not when I went broke in 2007, 2008, and we had to move back into my mom's basement, and not now, not ever. You know what she's doing right now? Getting pampered, getting her hair done, getting her nails done, getting a massage, right? Driving the best cars, flying first class everywhere. You know what her job is? Her job is to make sure that the household is taken care of, meaning that she has a responsibility to make sure that the maids come in here and do what they're supposed to do. She has a responsibility to make sure that my daughter is taken care of and that she gets to and from and that she's nurtured. She has a responsibility to answer all of the emails. She has a responsibility to ensure that the things that I task her with is completed, right? She's nurturing. The minute that I walked in the house last night, and she actually jumped on, well, she didn't come on the panel, but she actually came up and she said, listen, as soon as I walked in the door from the office last night, she was like, oh, you about to jump in the shower real quick before your live stream? She ran in the bathroom. She cut on the shower for me. She made sure that my towel was laid out. I didn't expect for any of that. I didn't ask for any of that, but that's just the nurturing spirit within her. And so Rita's disposition has always been, she doesn't want the responsibility, the added responsibility of managing finances and trying to figure out what her investments are, so on and so forth. Now, because I'm such a giving and nurturing and a well-prepared person, I have spreadsheets, I have documents, I have Google Docs, I have encrypted passwords and so on and so forth. And I inform her, hey, listen, this is where the money at. If anything was to ever happen to me, you tap into this first. This is how you contact the life insurance company. This is how you contact my corporate position in order to put them in a position and then send that check, right? I've prepared her with all of the passwords. She knows where all of the how to tap into the 401k. She knows what the long-term goal is. This is how much you would spend each year. This is how much the return is supposed to be. This is how much we make in this year. She understands all of that because I have to make sure that my family is prepared at all times. At all times in case anything was to ever happen, because I'll be damned if they ever depend on the federal government, if they ever do a fucking fish fry, or they ever ask for a donation for anybody. Right? She understands how things work when it comes to operating a business. One of the reasons why I'm having her be the forefront of working with the contractor and the architects is building this house is because I want her to understand every single thing from a business perspective. But let's be clear. Let's be crystal clear. She has never, nor does she want to, have any responsibility of what it takes in order to actually pay a bill. At all. She don't care. She's not interested. She's not fucking going over the statements. That's not how we rock, right? And one of the reasons why it's so easy for me to operate this way within my household is because I've established that as a cultural norm amongst us from the very beginning. And the problem with society and relationships in general is that you are out of your purpose. Her purpose is to be a nurturer. My purpose is to be a builder, right? And so because things are out of the norm, you have women operating like men and men operating like women. And so it's very difficult for you to continue to get her to go back into her femininity because she's so focused on what it is that you fucking doing because she looking over your shoulder trying to figure out how it is that she can get her nose in your business. When men are talking, right? When the men in the family is talking, for example, and we trying to solve for a problem, or we dealing with a young dude, or we talking about what's the course or what the trajectory is of how it is that we supposed to solve for something, or when me and my three brothers come together and we start having a conversation, you know what the women do? They go in a different room, or they go in the kitchen, or they go and watch TV, or they go and play volleyball or something like that. They automatically remove themselves out of the room because they understand that men are talking about business and you are out of your purpose. And so if you so busy trying to look over his shoulder, trying to figure out what it is that he doing with the money or how much you gonna get, from the time that we went broke, when we went broke and I was giving her $25 a week in allowance and I said, listen, this is what we got to work with. You can do whatever you want to do with your $25. And I promise you, and it's funny because I was having this conversation, she never questioned me. She never questioned me, not one time. And I said, listen, this $25 is going to be $25,000 a week. It's going to be $25,000 a week in spending allowance. You're going to have so much money that you're going to have access to that you're not even going to know what to do with it. It's going to be too much for you to spend. It's going to be your cup runneth over, but we got a plan and we're going to stick to it. And this is how we're going to go about doing it. And you know what she did? She was on board 100% of the time. Never questioning nothing, always in the purpose. And it's funny because she just sent me a text message this morning when she was going to go and get her hair done. And she said, I love you more than anything in this world, more than my mom, the whole 9 yards. And so y'all going to have to start establishing a new way of doing things that's outside of what you see on Instagram. That's outside of these women that's trying to coach y'all into being partners instead of being a wife. I swear to God, it's much easier to be able to live in your femininity, not have to worry about what the hell is going on out there. Bring your motherfucking check home. I want all of it. I want every fucking dollar. I want it on the table right now. I don't want you hide nothing. You ain't gotta hide nothing. You can go out there and buy anything you want to buy. Bring me my motherfucking money. Now. And the minute that you establish, you get that uncomfortable conversation out of the way, you establish that cultural norm, and that's the way you go about living in your relationship going forward. Now, if you get that genie out of the bottle and you leading with your money and you messing it up and you told her that she was a partner and now she have an expectation to be able to have some say-so on what the hell is going on, then you're going to be fucked up. Now, that also requires you to be a responsible person, to be a responsible man, not to fumble the bag, not to be out here making dumb decisions, right? It requires for you to not take her money and then go out and buy a Charger and a Hellcat and then get that bitch repossessed, right? So that goes without saying. But my point is that just because you work, just because you got a job, does not mean that you're the head of the household. I'm going to give you some responsibility. It doesn't mean that you can't go out there and participate. I'm also taking into consideration what you say, but we have to establish healthy cultural norms, and you have to go and revisit the thing that worked in the beginning. This new way and this new age of looking at how it is that you're going to do things just because you have some form of liberation, if you understood what liberation really meant, it meant that you now have more responsibility and you're going to suffer as a result of it. Your liberation brings suffering. That means that you're going to have to go out here and compete with people like me that don't sleep every day. You don't want that. You don't want that. You want to be able to wake up with no alarm. You want to be able to wake up and look out at that water, have a good time, go and have your friends and fly wherever you want to fly and swipe whatever. What you don't know, and this is the funniest part about it, you actually spend more than you can physically bring in because I don't look at the value of what you do based off of the amount of money that you can then bring into the household, right? So you're doing yourself a disservice and actually cutting your own legs off by wanting to participate and saying, having a say-so of what it is that you want to do it, then take your little money and do what you want to do. Or we can do it my way. I can multiply this shit. I can make sure that we really making investments towards our future. You protect it for the rest of your life, and you can stay in your femininity. Which one you want? Now, I shouldn't have to explain that to you, but I know it's some people in the back that really don't get it and don't understand what it is that I'm saying. Your little bit of money don't really move the needle. What I'm putting you in a position to do is really add more value because I understand the value that you bring more than what that man is that you're subjecting yourself to at your job, right? And because I know what's best for you, I need you to shut the fuck up and bring me that check. Because it's not about the money, it's not about the check, it's about your submission. It's about the fact that you're willing to play your role in this greatness that we building together because you're largely going to be the beneficiary of what it is that I put together for you. Let me do what men do and stop trying to emasculate the man that's next to you and trying to tell him what it is that he's supposed to do. And that way y'all will be able to be successfully married for the rest of your life. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, all right? So I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of clarification so that y'all will understand exactly how men work. So I know that they out here telling you this and they telling you that, and you listening to a bunch of niggas that don't know shit about marriage. They don't know shit about money. They don't know shit about relationships. They don't know nothing about nothing. They put on a suit. They put on a cap. They go and get them a chain that ain't worth shit, put a bunch of diamonds in it, and they trying to tell you how to be able to operate within a relationship. I'm the best that you're going to get. It's God, Jesus, Anton. God, Jesus, Anton. I am the most perfect example of what it's supposed to be and what a marriage is supposed to look like in every facet of what relationships are. When it comes to finances, when it comes to money, when it comes to being a father, when it comes to being raised by a family, when it comes to being raised in a church, when it comes to being an overcomer, and then ultimately being a reflection of the thing that you're advocating for people, right? Because the one thing that women are having a difficulty with when it comes to me is that you can't sit here and say that, well, he's this or he's not married or he's not married to a black woman or he's not a father or he's a baby daddy or he got some children out of wedlock or so you can't do that to me. And I've been married for 2 fucking decades. And so it's a difference. I'm not asking you to do anything that I'm not already doing. I'm not the pot calling the kettle black. pristine, without spot, wrinkle, or blemish. You know what the hierarchy is, all right?